All right, let's get started. We got a bunch of people online. Thank you, everybody. This is Eric Milch from Dealer Teamwork. Welcome to episode 3 in the Dealer Teamwork webinar series. We have a great show for you today. We got a great special guest, 6 ways to rebuild record dealership sales and profits. And our special guest today is the one and only Kyle McKinzie. Kyle, say hello.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. I'm excited to be here. Obviously, you've got a phenomenal host in Eric Milch. I'm going to do my best to keep the energy up and show you guys what we did post-COVID to kind of take over our market.
Yeah, before we get into it, Kyle, give us a real quick overview. You know, I've known you for a while now, several years. Super proud of everything you've been doing. You know, strong family name. Tell us a little bit about your background and your journey to Kruse Motors.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'll tell you guys something that's almost inappropriate. And Eric, I believe you were actually one of the first people to hear me say this on one of my first ever demonstrations of the Dealer Teamwork MPOP. So I was born into the automotive industry. Many like to say that I was actually conceived in the backseat of a car on the showroom floor. As you can see in this slideshow right here, my father's the one standing in the middle. My brother is the one standing on the left-hand side, and I'm the one with the hair on the right. I've been in the business since I came out of the womb. I've done everything from porter to detailing to writing service to selling cars. And eventually, I found my way to working with Dealer Teamwork. I worked with Sean, connected with Eric, Katie, all the friends over there. Brian Voss, I know you're on this webinar. Big shout out to you, big stud. But what happened is my father, my brother, myself, we found these stores down in Marshall, Minnesota, and said, God, it's our time to venture out on our own. So we did. We pulled the trigger back in March of 2019, and here we are 13 months later, have not looked back for a second. It's been phenomenal growth, and we're really excited to be where we're at and continue to moving forward.
Awesome. It's exciting to see all of the great things you and the family are doing. So everybody on today's webinar, again, thank you for joining. Everybody will have access to this on demand. We'll share a link afterwards, and you will get a copy of the presentation as well. So here's what we're going to cover today. We've whittled down 6 great topics that Kyle was sharing with me, you know, as we were preparing for this. And, you know, there's so many different things we can talk about in today's crazy world. So we whittled these down again to these 6 here. We're going to talk about this thing called the appointment-driven culture that they've really adopted. The increased heightened awareness around, obviously, the accountability and the leadership side of things. He's going to talk a little bit about the marketing mix and how that's changed. Then we'll dive into some inventory management process changes, one of my favorite items as well. He's going to cover some of the expense management changes that they identified too. And then lastly, talking more about, obviously, customer behavior and how they really needed to change their experience to help improve the customers. So before we dive in, let me just give a quick recap of some recent numbers. I found these yesterday, so these are extremely current. These are in terms of what's happening. This was May Ford sales estimate for last month. 145,000 plus was the estimate, and they actually came in at 231,000 plus. So about a 59% increase on that, and some interesting numbers across the board, just from 5 other brands as well, between BMW, Daimler, FCA, GM, and Honda. Great numbers. Again, I just share this because it's obviously positive news. We want to focus in on some of the changes, pointing to the new momentum. And so with that momentum, and as dealers are starting to ramp up, seeing larger traffic, website, showroom, appointments, everything across the board. Let's dive into again some of those first reactions that you had. So Kyle, tell us a little bit about what happened initially, about 2 months ago, and as you went into last month. How did everything change for you guys, and what were those reactions?
Well, I got to tell you what happened when obviously COVID came about. Everybody in the town got a little scared. Obviously, everybody nationwide got a little scared. We weren't quite sure how it was all going to play out, so we ended up shutting down the sales floor for the sales consultants to be here for about 2 weeks. We did keep sales managers and F&I managers on staff. So would there be anything that needed to go out? Should a customer want to come in and look at a vehicle? Somebody's here to show it to them, right? And what that actually did for us is it created a heavy emphasis on an appointment-driven culture. What do I mean by that? I mean, we allowed our sales consultants to access our new CRM. We switched CRMs to Vin Solutions, and it's been phenomenal. We allowed them to access that from home, make as many phone calls, send as many emails, send as many texts as you possibly can, and let people know we are still open, obviously by appointment only. It's the only way that the government was allowing us to still show and sell vehicles, so we abided by that. However, we did allow our sales consultants to come in should they have an appointment at 2 o'clock to show Mr. and Mrs. Smith a brand new Ford Explorer. They were here by 1:30 getting that thing cleaned up, pulled up front with a hang tag that had Mr. and Mrs. Smith wrote on it, hanging from that front mirror dangler. Why did we do that? To shorten the sales process. And that's one of our biggest focuses in the past 2 months. The customer doesn't want to sit here for 2.5 hours only for you to ask them a bunch of questions, essentially give them an interview to find out whether or not they're even qualified to look at said vehicle when they've done all their research online. The car shopper's spending 18, 19, 20 hours looking at that vehicle, determining their payment, determining their trade value. Heck, when they get here, you want to know what they want to do? They want to drive the car. So let's let them, right? Have that thing pulled up, be prepared for it. And what we've done from that is we've created a huge opportunity to capture on those leads, right? So the lead process we've changed. It's now a 45-day hard touch process with manager interventions about every 3 or 4 days to make sure that the sales consultant's following up properly with said prospect, right? So the showroom follow-up process, once a week, we have a sales consultant sit with the sales manager and go through every single one of their ups from the previous week and the previous month, determining how many demos they did, how many write-ups, how many service walks, how many accessory presentations, and ultimately what their closing ratios are, so we can work on those salespeople to get them stronger on the initial pencil. After that, we changed that CRM process to allow for ultimately different types of follow-up processes, because you have phone leads, you have internet leads, you have showroom leads, you have walk-in leads, you've got wholesale leads. You got to make sure you're touching each and every one of them a little bit differently, which includes multiple touches from the sales consultant, the sales manager, your F&I manager, and your BDC manager. The more voices that they hear, the more committed they feel like Kruse Motors is to giving them the ultimate customer experience that no other dealership has in the past.
That's fantastic. Great description. Just a fantastic overview with that. So tell everybody about what do you think is going to happen longer term? Is this baked into your DNA now? And you know, does this alter again? What do you see happening?
It is, and we've talked about it in a few of our sales meetings in the past 2 to 3 weeks. Our salespeople are understanding that, God, when these McKinzies first got here, and they told us that 2 appointments a day with ultimately 1 showing, and then taking lot ups in between, will help me achieve 20 cars a month and give me the paycheck that I want to feed my family with, as well as purchase that vehicle that I've been looking for. So what they did is they started to see the results. And I got to tell you, when someone sees the results for something that you've been coaching them on for 12 months up to this point, you get that coming to Jesus look in their eye where they're saying to themselves, God, if only I would have listened in May of 2019 when they told me that I should be having 2 to 3 appointments per day. You can find these leads anywhere, right? Whether it's the internet. Facebook's been a massive, massive resource for us recently. Guess what? 90% of dealers in America don't even tap the biggest lead source out there, and it's your service drive. Whether you're working with a tool like Auto Alert or Dealer Wizard or whoever it is, grab that and work the crap out of it. You will see tons of results from it.
Absolutely. Great leadership with that. So let's move on to the next step in terms of accountability. And these things all kind of bleed together, but describe how that built your culture as well. And some of the stories you've got there. You shared a great one about a new hire that just hit the ground running, and this entire new shift in terms of the tracking like you've never seen before with you guys.
Right on, guys. I got my mission statement in front of me, and the first thing that we have when it comes to our 5 values here at the store is do what you say you will do, which comes to a personal measurement of accountability, which is why you see on the screen here that culture of tracking. We're tracking every single thing we can possibly think of, and the only reason we're tracking it is because if you don't track it, how can you expect it to get better, right? So you'll see month-to-date phone calls, you'll see appointments month-to-date, you'll see accessory sales month-to-date, environmental protection penetration. We're trying to find out who needs work. Obviously, our top 2 sales consultants, they're at 0% month to date, need help on training the process as to when to plant the seeds, how to plant the seed. And ultimately, build value in that environmental protection process. But number 2 on our values, what gets measured gets done. And going back to Eric's point on accountability, we do have that rookie hire with 19 sales who never once left before closing if he had an overdue task. He's not allowed to. We've actually transitioned to that new CRM. And if you have an overdue task that's more than 72 hours overdue, you cannot add a new customer to your CRM. You cannot add that new customer, and it goes back to that accountability standpoint. If we allow them to continue getting away with the following of the process that we're not encouraging, all we're doing is encouraging them to stray from that process. So we've adapted a new a procedure that we like to say. You change your people or you change your people. You do not negotiate on your process, and you do not negotiate on your culture. Accountability will follow as long as you change your people or you change your people.
Awesome job. It's just such a massive change, and it's exciting to see the results that are coming from that new that new change in the philosophy. So I put together some of those numbers that you shared, and what we're looking at here are just a great visualization of some of those metrics that that he was mentioning in terms of the phone calls, appointments, all the way down to service contracts, profit, everything. It's just you're making the headway that's needed for the new ecosystem that's out there. And this is the level of awareness that all dealers have to take advantage of to be able to improve their operation. So again, congratulations on that. You guys are doing a great job with that. What do you see as where do you see the potential roadblocks that you have even within this progress that you're making? What else is ahead for you? What do you need to still address, and what else do you still need to change within this accountability measure?
Our main focus, Eric, and I like that you asked the question, what else do you need to change? Where do you see a possible roadblock in the future? We're focused on shortening the sales culture, the sales process for the customer. So anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes, if we can just shorten it by 5 to 10 minutes, we're going to get those customers in and out faster than the dealership down the street, and that's our main focus here. So what you'll see is when we have that tracking board in our sales meetings and we address it every single morning, we don't even have to call out the low performers. When you see somebody yesterday made 2 outbound phone calls and the guy sitting next to him made 27, it's called public shame. And we don't even have to address it as a leadership team. When those sales consultants see themselves sitting next to the guy doing 22 cars a month, watching him make 400 outbound phone calls a month with 40 appointments, they understand why. And it's either A, I'm going to hop on board, or B, I'm going to find a different career. There is no negotiation on what the expectations are.
Yeah, I love how you're creating this new success normal, and just the whole mindset is completely altered. So again, kudos to you guys. Let's shift again over into the marketing mix. Tell us a little bit about, obviously, everybody in the industry is struggling with this across the board. What do we do? Where do we spend our hard-earned money? How do we change this mix? What's needed? So talk about, some of the things that you've noticed, and obviously some of the recommendations that you received, and really how that sets you up for the success.
Phenomenal question, Eric, and I can't thank my partners at Dealer Teamwork enough, because I do take their guidance on a lot of their recommendations. But what happened when COVID came about, my father, my brother, and myself, we removed ourselves from the store for a week, launched a new CRM, and took a deep, deep dive into our expense allocation. And I shouldn't call it an expense, I should call it an investment, because which one's bringing us the highest return on said investment? Right? So we took the digital marketing mix that Dealer Teamwork recommended. They're telling us, God, these long tail search queries like Ford F-150 lease deals near me, it's not so much a search like that. It's as simple as, God, Ford dealership open near me. Who can I call? Ford oil change available near me right now, because they don't know which dealerships are open and which ones aren't and what the hours are that have changed. So we shifted our mix towards those more focused keywords that Dealer Teamwork recommended. We had phenomenal results because of it. Eric will talk about those here shortly in a second. But in terms of the offline marketing budgets, you'll see a picture of a radio right here. We actually retailored our strategy a little bit. We used to be into those 60-second ads, pounding the crap out of, God, Ford F-150s for $199 a month. They're 0% for 72 months available right now. Extending it into, here's what the shopper's looking for. Here's what Ford is offering and what they're putting on the table. We changed it. We went to really quick 15-second spots. Kruse Motors, open service and parts, normal hours, 7:30 to 5:30, sales by appointment only. Make a phone call. We're happy to help you into the vehicle that you're looking to get yourself into. So we took that marketing mix. We did cancel a few vendors. Obviously, many dealers out there have. It helped us on our profitability end of things, but we also put more money towards what our partners recommended. And on that radio topic, holy crap, those 15-second spots guaranteeing the lowest price on tires or $150 mail-in rebate on tires or free oil for life. It's one of the programs we have here at the store, as simple as Buggy Bucks. It's like Monopoly money that we play with. It's an incredible retention tool. We've got over 90% service retention right now in the Ford store, and in the GM store, it's over 92%. I don't know how many dealers in America can say that, but I know it's not many. And ultimately, record results. On new Fords, we were up 457% year to date because we took our partners' recommendations. We tailored our strategy towards what we know our market likes, and it worked for us. We did reduce some expenses. We did reallocate budgets a little bit, and ultimately it proved to be one of the best things we could have possibly done at this point in time.
That's awesome. I've always been a big fan of the super short radio bumps as well. Yeah, I can remember back in our stores running those short, we were doing under 10 seconds even. You can buy them in bulk, real cheap inventory of ads. And all we did was just say things like, hey, we'll buy your car, even if you don't buy from us. Real short and sweet. And it worked. But
that's simple.
Yeah, okay. It's really, really simple. But again, it's exciting to see those changes, but it's also important to realize too, you said a key thing, reevaluating the vendors. That needs to be, that needs to be a higher priority just across the board. And again, I see that as a positive outcome from everything happening with COVID with regards to just, again, a little bit more accountability on the performance side of things. And again, that ties back to the investment that's made, wasted spend, things like that.
And I'll expand on that for you a second, Eric. When you're looking at some of these third-party lead providers, it's awesome that they can send you, 20, 30, sometimes even 50 leads a month. But when you look at the $1,200 cars that you're getting leads on from Georgia and California and Florida, I'm in Marshall, Minnesota, small town USA, right? How many of those can I immediately out of the gate mark as wasted spend? Quite a few of them. When I'm working with a partner like Dealer Teamwork, the organic focus on the search results that we're getting here, it's second to none. I got to tell you, I'm pretty sure it was 4 or 5 screenshots of a Dealer Teamwork special on my website that I had emailed to me from customers last month saying, hey, is this pickup still available? And it's not necessarily the leads that it generates, it's the traffic that follows it.
Absolutely.
Right? And that's one of the best shout outs I can give Dealer Teamwork. You guys are focused on my backyard. You're focused on allowing me to retain the customers that I already have here by building up the value of my website, my Google My Business, my local search, my local SEO. So big kudos to you guys. Thank you for that.
Absolutely. We're glad to help you with that stuff. Let's jump over to a little bit more of the social media mix as well. This is really, really proven to see, and I'll let you talk about it just in terms of the ease of management, obviously, with the automation, the context of the ads and things like that. So share with how you've noticed the change, just in terms of that process as well.
So social media is very, very simple. It's all about the content you promote. What is the customer looking for? What is the customer searching for? What do you want to promote? What do you want to grow? If you want to grow your service business, post more about service. If you want to grow your parts business or your wholesale business, post more about those items, right? When we're talking sales, ultimately it's the payment that's going to sell a car, right? Make sure it's properly merchandised, properly descripted. There's good, solid pictures for the customer to say, God, you know what? That Durango is something I've been looking for. And for $262 a month, who wouldn't want to drive a third-row limited SUV with all those fancy options? So what we've looked into is obviously social advertising. We've taken a very, very, very heavy amount of our budget focused on search engine marketing and shifted it to social media because the cost per click is so much lower. The return on your investment is so much higher. Why would you not? And then what we've done, by allowing Dealer Teamwork to sponsor these advertisements and get them in front of customers that are searching for said vehicles, we've taken that and expanded by posting up to 4 posts a day organically. Whether it's a video on a fresh trade-in, a picture of a customer who just purchased a vehicle that gave us the A-OK to post said photo, giving them a shout out and thanking them for the opportunity. Maybe it's, the 0% that Ford's offering on F-150s right now. Whatever it is, you've got to continue to put content out there if you want people to engage in it. We've grown our following on Facebook over 1,000 people in the past 6 months. It's incredible to watch the growth, and I got to tell you, it's partially due to dealer teamwork's end on sponsoring and getting these offers in front of the right people at the right time. And a big kudos to my marketing team here at the store for continuing to promote content and planning it ahead of time. God, what are we going to post at 1 o'clock on Thursday afternoon? I'm giving a shout out to my senior master technician that's been Ford certified for 20 plus years. What does that do? Builds credibility in the entire organization. It's more about the after-sale experience than it is buying the vehicle itself.
Absolutely. So here's just a quick word cloud for everybody watching. It says just a simple visual representation of what we've noticed from some of those higher performing local terms. And we really, really wanted to put the emphasis on on Kruse Motors and their marketing reach simply just in the backyard. And so we saw a simple way to be able to, again, shift the focus, make sure we're hitting all the marketing channels, and again, boost that local visibility, drive more engagement with this local landing page, obviously increase the tracking so we can give Kyle and his team the accountability that they need so it matches their philosophy as well, and be able to track and monitor that investment. And that just opens up those opportunities even more. And what we found were in the last 30 days alone, 63% of their searches that were hitting their Google My Business profile were discovery searches. So being able to just optimize that portion of it, again, extends the brand's reach, creates the visibility, drives the engagement, gives the clicks and the calls, and again, most importantly, being able to track that back. And then, Kyle, obviously, inventory levels are a top issue across the board with all brands. So explain a little bit about how your focus has shifted, obviously, to the used car marketing.
Yeah, we've moved heavily into used cars. I got to tell you, my brother at the Buick GMC store next door has 2 new GMCs on the ground right now. Wow. And he sold 15 new GMCs last month. We're up 600% in terms of what GM expected us to do. So it's things along those lines where we're like, God, you know what? We're buying pre-owned 18, 19 Yukons, Acadias, Terrains, Explorers, and they're moving faster than we can even get them on the lot. Right now, our biggest hang-up is cleanup. We've been buying cars like crazy, and we've been taking them in on trade. Our trade-take ratio is at about 60% in the past 2 months. And it's because the people are here have done all their research online. If you're not trying to lowball them or find a way to make it work in your favor, you're going to get the car deal. Just be fair, be honest, set the expectation up front, and make sure you merchandise your inventory. You're going to see this picture right here of that Ram 1500. That is one of the units that I received a screenshot of that exact ad that you're looking at, $248 a month, of a customer saying, is this truck still available? It absolutely is. When can you be here? Tomorrow at 2 p.m., or would you rather me have it pulled up front for you at 6 o'clock?
Nice.
Keep it simple. Don't complicate it. Publish your product and make sure it's merchandised.
What about your inventory management? Let's shift into that as well. Obviously, such an important part of the entire operational success. You mentioned one key thing, I think, when we were talking earlier this week, it was your policy for your profit range, or at least your how far behind MMR. Can you touch on that real quick?
So we are buying vehicles like crazy right now. We're getting into the heat of the summer where we like to be fully stocked and fat, ready to feed the consumers right here in our backyard. So we've been purchasing between 20 to 40 vehicles a week. They come the next week, and we do have a recon plan already ahead of time, expecting that vehicle to get here at said time on said day. So what I've done is I've worked very, very closely with my service manager to set the expectation to 5 days. I know we are buying a lot of cars. I know 3 days is an expectation that's very hard to achieve. When you've got customers that are still servicing their vehicles, we do more commercial service work than we can keep up with right now. So we do set that expectation to 5 days. And guess what? If it's 6 days before it gets through service, 5% discount to the used car team for every single day over 5 days. So if it's 10 days old, 25% off the entire bill. Can I tell you how much faster you're going to get your cars through your service department when you can negotiate the terms with your service manager to exactly that? Oh, it's incredible. But what Eric's got up on the screen here is the merchandising process. We do that before the vehicle is here. We know it's coming in on a Wednesday. On a Tuesday afternoon, it's going to be priced with a proper description based upon the window sticker, the mileage of the vehicle, what we know it'll already need done. Because Manheim will tell you, God, the tires on this thing are 230 seconds. Great, I can describe that with brand new tires, and it's going to be priced to sell. There is an old car philosophy, God, you have to have cost plus 10%, cost plus 5%. It no longer matters. The internet has made it way too transparent to try and hold that much gross on a vehicle nowadays. So price it before it gets here. It shouldn't change how much you sell it for as long as you're being fair to the consumer. When they're calling from 5 hours away, they are asking your best price, and you can very simply say you're 5 hours away because you know I'm price competitive. I'm not going to lose your business. You're going to go home with a full tank of gas. If it takes a gas card to get it done, if it takes a windshield, whatever it is, just make sure you're being fair.
Now, I know you mentioned before, obviously, we shifted a lot of the strategy. I bring this slide up just for a demonstration, again, just to really expand on the point. While we shifted the strategy over to some of those local terms and some of the, car dealer near me, Ford dealer near me, and we saw the performance shift and the benefit of that, it's always important, obviously, to look bigger picture and still keep your eye on the prize longer term, because obviously having the right content and the right optimization process to be able to ensure that you still show up for every possible alternative, so you're capturing every opportunity. Remember what we used to say, people always search different. Everybody searches different. So you want to be prepared for as much as possible. And that's a real big takeaway here, everybody, is in terms of what we're trying to set everybody up for success with regards to local, organic, paid, different forms of paid, social, email, video. There's so many different channels, and to be prepared for that, regardless of the situation and the economy, being able to just have that content prepared. And again, here's a great example on the screen of one of Kyle's organic results that is showing obviously dynamic payments in there.
Eric makes a great point, guys. It's about what the customer is searching for today that they buy tomorrow, right? So when I meet with my dealer teamwork account manager every single week, I ask him, what kind of trend can I expect for next week? He's going to tell me, gosh, search volume for the Ford Escape is down. Okay, great. It's not going to be on my pad. It's going to be the F-150 because that's the one that's up 42% week over week, right? So we do take strategies from our partners. We do tailor our search, but it's all about what's important to the customer. We had customers driving from Sioux Falls saying, God, your Google reviews, you're a solid 4.6 stars. The dealership in my hometown is 4.0. I'd rather come to you based upon a lot of the reviews I read. Just make sure, like Eric said, it's social, it's dynamic, it's organic. You have to touch them on every single channel, or you're going to drop the ball somewhere.
Absolutely. So let's shift over again real quick. We'll jump into some of the expense management. Again, this is, it's obviously at the forefront of everybody's mind right now, and it probably will be for going on for quite a while. So just touch on this real quick, and then we'll move on to the last topic, and then we'll wrap things up today.
Absolutely. When you guys are going into meetings with your vendors, please, please, please be prepared. Know what you want to ask. Know what you want to learn for the week. Again, what I like to do with my vendors is not so much my own stats. I can see those in my Google Analytics account. I can study those at night when I'm enjoying dinner. What I like to know is, God, what are you seeing in my area? Obviously, I know what my search is doing, how your campaigns are performing for me. If there's an issue, address it, and address it first thing. But after that, move on. What's the industry seeing? Are there more VDPs this week versus last week? What kind of VDPs are they? Are they looking at Chevy Traxxas? Are they looking at Ford F-150s? So that way I can tell my buyer what to look for at the auction, because that's what's going fastest in my market, right? So we dove into the expenses. We reevaluated some vendors. We axed a few. We actually signed up with a few others that are differentiating themselves from the competitors because they've got a different strategy. Right? They're looking at something completely different than local SEO and search engine marketing. I have dealer teamwork for that. God, what about maybe I'm wanting to target a specific zip code with a certain message. Maybe it's a message as simple as guaranteed credit approval, and I'd be very, very careful saying that. but that does resonate within certain zip codes, within certain households, how you're targeting them on the median income that they offer, and ultimately improving your operational standpoint.
Awesome. Awesome. Great stuff. And then lastly, let's talk about customers are in a completely different state of mind now. Everybody's concerned. They got questions. You gotta respond to that. So how have you made that part of your culture as well? And talk about how your staff has responded to that, and what's their take on that as well.
Yeah, the staff loves it. They can't get enough of it, because when the customer comes in, they know what the expectation is. They know there's not thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to negotiate on a vehicle. They understand that they're going to spend less time in the store if the expectations are set up front and we're transparent and we let them know that our goal is to find them the right vehicle and fit their budget and do it in a timely manner. They love that kind of treatment. On the service side of things, guys, you have to make sure that you're telling the customer what's going to happen on the phone when you set the appointment. So in service, you're talking to said customer, and they know they're bringing in a 14 Edge. Last time they were here, they needed an alignment. The first thing you ask, hey, Mr. Smith, did you get that alignment that we recommended last time that you opted out of? Did you get that done between now and then? No, I didn't. Well, great. You know what? I can schedule an hour out of one of my technicians' time to take care of that for you today if that's something you'd be okay with. Yeah, why don't you go ahead and do that? Right? Set that up front. Set that expectation. In terms of the pre-appointment checklist, what do you need to know for the customer before they come in? We've got this on our sales tracking board upstairs. Our pre-appointment checklist includes Facebook. 95% of our customers are on Facebook. Why wouldn't we want to know if they have kids, if they have dogs, where they live, where they're originally from? Why wouldn't you want to know a couple of those key talking points that you can use to your advantage further on in the process? Ultimately, again, it's going to shorten the time in the store, and that's what the customer wants. They don't want to be sitting in my customer lounge for 4 hours after you tell them, hey, I'll have you in and out of here in an hour and a half. Oh, by the way, now you need an alignment. Now you need a new set of tires. I can get all that taken care of for you today, but it's going to take you another 2.5 hours. They don't want that. Make sure you talk about it in your pre-appointment checklist. Make sure you set those expectations up front so the customer understands how much less time they'll spend in your store if they know what it's looking like when they get here.
So one last question for you, and this applies to you and your brother, and I'm sure you learned a lot of it from your father. What's driving you every day? You've got this new culture, you've got this new approach, you've got this new philosophy. How do you stay motivated?
I stay motivated by watching my young guns, my green peas have success. I mean, watching my freshest sales consultant sell 19 cars in his first month here. God, I had a conversation with his wife, and I'll tell you a story. I interviewed the guy, and I told him flat out, it was a test. Max, I don't think you're right for the position. And it broke him. He went home, talked to his wife about it. It was a job that he really, really wanted. And guess what? After the fact, he told me that it made him want the job even more.
That's
so when
great.
my dad called him next week and said, I'd like to have a second interview with you, he said, are you kidding me? He showed up. He wore a suit. He was buttoned up. And all he did was be honest and transparent with my dad. I've never done sales before. I have no idea what it pertains. I'd like to give it a try. I'll give it my all. I'll listen to whatever you teach me. And the guy sold 19 cars, and he made more money in 1 month than he made in half a year last year.
Wow.
Right? So that's what drives me every day. Watching the people on my team have success, seeing that look in their eyes when they're like, oh, my God, appointments work, appointments work, appointments work. When a sales consultant has 5 cars or 5 appointments in a day, I bet you all the money he sells 4 cars. Because if 60% of those customers show up and you can snag a lot up here or there when one of them doesn't, guys, ultimately the success is right in front of you. You just got to make sure you listen to your mentors and your guidance, and it'll fall right into place for you. That's what drives me every day, Eric. Phenomenal question. It's the next opportunity that I'm looking forward to.
Well, that's awesome. Congratulations to you. I got a quote from your dad here. He's super proud of you. We all are as well. It's just great to see you grow. Again, congratulations on everything you guys are doing over there. Keep improving. Don't stop moving ahead, and keep us posted, obviously, on your success. And we'd love to have you back. So again, everybody, thank you very much for joining for our third webinar today with Kyle McKenzie from Kruse Ford. from Kruse Motors. We do have a marketing audit available. We'd love to be able to help you out. Anyone that's on today, please reach out to us. You can reach out directly or hit our website. We'll take a look at any of the opportunities and gaps, try to find some new improvements for you, and just give you a good, clear, objective view. So please reach out. Again, thank you very much, Kyle. Appreciate everything. Great show today, and have a great rest of the week. Thank you, everybody, for attending.